The Atlanta Falcons finished the 2023 regular season with a 7-10 record and missed the playoffs for the 6th consecutive year. Their last playoff appearance came back in 2017 when they lost to Philly in the divisional round of the playoffs, which of course was 1 year after they lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Since 2017, the most amount of wins Atlanta has had in a single season is 7, but I think that's about to change. The Falcons finished the Arthur Smith era going 21-30, as Arthur would go on to lead Atlanta to 3 straight 7-10 seasons before getting fired and before the franchise brought in Raheem Morris. This may seem a little out of left field to hype up Atlanta, as the Falcons are coming off of a year in which they finished 26th in points per game offensively, despite having several high draft picks invested into skill position players on offense. But they are closer to competing than you may think, and we are going to break down everything in today's video. We are going to break down free agency, the NFL draft, where they can improve in 2024, and everything in between. Now let's begin. The elephant in the room is pretty clear with the Falcons, and the big question, of course, is what will they do at the quarterback position in 2024? To me, there is 2 routes, and we will, of course, go down both routes and explain why each quarterback would make sense for this team moving forward. The routes, of course, are a pricey veteran, which Atlanta can most certainly afford through a few contract restructurings, or sacrifice their number 8 overall pick this year, and at least their 2025 first-round pick, if not their 2026 first-round pick to go get their presumable quarterback of the future. The veteran route would be bringing in Kirk Cousins, previously of the Minnesota Vikings. Before Kirk went down with a torn Achilles against the Packers, he was playing arguably the best football of his career. The Vikings had virtually 0 run game in 2023, which would not be a problem for Kirk if he came to Atlanta in 2024, and it was a lot of hero ball and a lot of put the team on my back, because that is what's required to win. The Vikings were 4-4 with Kirk as their starter in 2023, and Kirk had 4 300-yard games in the 8 he played, which was 1 more than the Falcons had cumulatively in 17 games for the entire 2023 season. There's a lot of reasons this makes sense for Kirk to go to Atlanta. Kirk is not your typical free agent that is getting paid big money for the first time, so despite Kirk having a lot of financial success in the past, I don't think this will be a game of who offers more between the Falcons and Vikings. Not to say Kirk would accept $10 million less to play in one city over the other, but if it were a 2-year deal worth $82 million from one team and a 2-year deal worth $84 million from the other, I don't think the answer would be as simple as choose the higher number. In fact, Kirk actually took less in 2018 to sign with the Vikings over the Jets. There's always money discussions around Kirk, so I did at least want to get that part out of the way. But another reason this makes sense for Kirk is his wife's family is from Atlanta. Not only is his wife's family from Atlanta, but Kirk has mentioned before he likes playing in domes, and I would imagine most quarterbacks do, by the way, but Atlanta also plays in a division where you are going to get good weather for most of the year. You may get a rainy game in Charlotte or a rainy game in Tampa, but I would rather play in Charlotte or Tampa in December than I would go to Lambeau Field or Soldier Field with a potential playoff berth on the line. Not only does Atlanta have that advantage over Minnesota, but they also have good weaponry for Kirk to throw to in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Obviously, those two aren't as good as Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson when healthy, and Jordan Addison, but Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier will play a big factor in Kirk's decision. Bringing in Kirk would also allow Atlanta to keep their number 8 overall pick and address something that needs to be addressed almost as bad as the quarterback position, and that of course is pass rush. By bringing in Kirk, this would obviously be an upgrade to Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke, but they could also draft Alabama's Dallas Turner and have a legit number 1 pass rusher. What I think needs to be remembered with Atlanta is this isn't a team that went 3-14 last year that we are hoping Kirk Cousins can come in and elevate this team to 10 wins and bank on this and hope for the absolute best case scenario. Kirk was on pace for a 4,900-yard, 38 passing touchdown season before he got hurt. Would he actually have thrown for those numbers? Who knows, but he was playing some of the best football of his career, and Atlanta still won 7 games in 2023 with horrible quarterback play. This team team lost to the Commanders at home this past year due in large part to the said poor quarterback play and losing the turnover battle 3-0. Desmond Ridder threw one of the ugliest red zone interceptions you'll see at the NFL level in the fourth quarter with the game on the line. I don't think it's a hot take to say with a healthy Kirk they win that game, and I don't think it's a hot take to say with a healthy Kirk they win several other games too, like the Vikings game or like the Cardinals game, or of course the Panthers game in which they lost 9-7. What also needs to be remembered about the Falcons in 2024 is this division is still not good. I say this as nice as I can to the Bucs, but congratulations on winning the NFC South in 2023 and not just barely scraping by the Eagles in the playoffs, but dominating them, and congratulations on overachieving in every way possible in 2023. But do the Bucs absolutely petrify the Falcons heading into 2024? No, and they shouldn't. Carolina is still very much rebuilding, and the Falcons split with the Saints in 2023. One other factor that I think will only work in the Falcons' favor moving forward is not having Arthur Smith be the head coach. Obviously, we all know about Arthur's tendencies to not give the ball to his best players at times, which was extremely frustrating over the past 2 years when you would check the Falcons' box score and see Mac Hollins have 4 catches while Kyle Pitts and Drake London have 2 combined, but those days are over. The last point I will make about Kirk Cousins and why I would like this signing so much for Atlanta is who the Falcons hired as their new offensive coordinator, which for those who may not know is former Rams quarterbacks coach Zach Robinson. I know Zach Robinson's name may not mean a lot, but Kirk is currently playing in a system designed by Kevin O'Connell, who, you guessed it, also coached under Sean McVay like Zach Robinson has since 2019. KOC was the Rams offensive coordinator in 2020 and 2021, while Robinson was on the same coaching staff as O'Connell, and this is brought up because the offenses will not be that different, and if Kirk were to go to Atlanta, it would be a pretty seamless transition. The other route the Falcons could go is by trading from pick 8 to presumably pick 3 to New England and going up to get their quarterback of the future, which we would assume at this point in time would be Jaden Daniels from LSU. In this scenario, Caleb Williams would go to Chicago and Drake May would go to Washington, leaving Atlanta with Daniels. No matter what Atlanta does this offseason, they have to go get an actual quarterback in 2024. The third-round flyer on Ridder, the free agent bargains on Heineke and Mariota days are done. They are over. It is also important to remember that Terry Fontenot, the Falcons general manager, was brought in the same year as Arthur Smith, meaning it's put up or shut up time for him too, and he, like Arthur, has a 21-30 record lifetime since joining the Atlanta Falcons. I would be very disappointed for Falcons fans if they opt to stay at pick 8 and take a JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix or whoever when now is the time to go get your guy. Not next year or next offseason, but this offseason. This is without a doubt one of the best options a rookie quarterback could walk into, as they have playmakers everywhere and a pretty good offensive line in front of them too. That also applies to Kirk or a rookie quarterback, by the way. The reason we brought Kirk up is he is the best free agent available, and it's not time for Atlanta to bring in a Ryan Tannehill or anybody else. Now is the time to go all in for the best free agent quarterback available, or the best quarterback you can snag in the NFL draft. I think you can reasonably talk yourself into either side for the Falcons in 2024, but one thing they cannot do is wait around and wait for everyone else to make up their minds and be the last ones to move. Whatever their decision is, they have to be all the way in. I think that's been the most frustrating thing with the Falcons over the past few years is half-assing the quarterback position and basically hold your hands up and say we tried while not really doing anything. Honestly, I respect Carolina a lot for going up and getting who they believe is the quarterback of the future. No matter who Atlanta's quarterback is next year, one thing I do expect to change is their yards per carry, or more so, where they finished in yards per carry as a team in 2023. They had the 3rd most rushing attempts as a team and the 9th most yards, but were 17th in yards per carry. One reason for that was opposing teams didn't respect Atlanta's quarterbacks, and for good reason. Taylor and Desmond combined in the intermediate part of the field, which is between 10 and 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, threw 4 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and if you can sell out to stop the run because you know that's what's coming, guess what defenses are going to do? They're going to sell out to stop the run, and they did. You can make a good case for either Kirk Cousins or a mobile guy like Jaden Daniels for the Falcons in 2024 and beyond, but if they go the Jayden Daniels route, I really think the NFL will look at what the Falcons have done over the past few years and try and replicate their plan offensively. Not exactly the same, of course, because nobody wants to have 3 straight 7-win seasons and to fire your head coach in the midst of this, but during the 2021 draft, there was a lot of speculation of there being 4 straight quarterbacks taken, which of course would have been Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, and Fields. Justin is from Georgia, and the Falcons fan base would have welcomed him with open arms. He's an electric football player with the ball in his hands, but the Falcons went with one of the best tight end prospects you'll ever see in Kyle Pitts. Pitts immediately paid dividends as he had a 1,000-yard rookie season, and the last 2 years are kind of out of his control, but the reality of that pick was if the Falcons wanted Justin no matter how bad, they would have taken him. And with how quarterback contracts are in today's NFL, where you go from paying a first-round pick anywhere from $5 to $10 million per year to $50+ million per year, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see a team use this method in the future with high first-round picks. Again, we are focusing on the process here and not the below-average results the Falcons achieved, due in some part to coaching and due in some part to not having a viable quarterback to throw these guys the football. But this method of simply drafting good football players and the best prospects of their positions in the draft when they were coming out, as simple as this sounds, could look like an infinity IQ move in a couple of years if Atlanta is paying Kyle Pitts and Drake London a combined $50 million per year, while Jayden Daniels or somebody else is getting paid $8 million per year, and the Falcons are consistently winning the NFC South. I know it's cliche to say a team is a player or two away from seriously competing, but the Falcons as a team in 2023 threw 17 interceptions while attempting the 25th most passes in the NFL, and like we referenced earlier, they still won 7 games. They are also in a division where they can go 5-1 or even 6-0 because the other teams aren't that good. If they get their quarterback of the future this offseason, whether that's Kirk or that's a guy in the draft, I have no doubt this team can win 10 or 11 games in 2024 and host a playoff game and go from there. We mentioned the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins and drafting Dallas Turner earlier in the video, and it could also be Jared Verse from Florida State for that matter, but if they go down the drafted quarterback route, 2 options I love for the Falcons is either signing division rival Brian Burns or Danielle Hunter, previously of the Vikings. Both guys would make a ton of sense, as Danielle is coming off of the best year of his career, as he just had 16.5 sacks and led the league in tackles for a loss with 23, while Burns is working on 4 straight seasons of 8 or more sacks and had a career-high 68 pressures back in 2022. The Falcons can play bully ball offensively, and I absolutely love their running back duo of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and in a good year, I wouldn't doubt they can have a similar impact as to what Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery just had in Detroit. But in today's NFL, you need a quarterback and you need a pass rusher. The Falcons have 2 options in front of them, and it's either pay the quarterback and draft the pass rusher, or the opposite. Pay the pass rusher and pay the draft capital to move up and get your quarterback. One thing that will be extremely beneficial, whether that's for a veteran pass rusher signing in Atlanta or a first-round pick coming in, Grady Jarrett will be back next year as he played just 8 games in 2023. The Falcons' 2024 road schedule isn't that difficult compared to most, as their toughest game will be in Philly, but this team can win 10 games next year, and they can ground and pound their way to an NFC South title. They will be active this offseason, and with Terry Fontenot's GM career effectively on the line, I can't wait to see what moves the Atlanta Falcons make. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe, as only about 32% of people watching are subscribed, and it helps the channel tremendously. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.